Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer today, giving you guys a sneak peek, an early video to take a look at this very next new moon that we're going to be having in Pisces. I know it's early. I'm trying to get in the habit of doing these a little bit sooner. But the more that I look at this new moon cycle that's setting up, it makes sense to be prepared. If you're new to my channel, do me a favor, make sure you click the button below, make sure you're subscribed. Even to those of you guys who regularly watch my videos, I'm hearing that there's people who just become unsubscribed. So it seems like the algorithm might not be working with us. I don't know, maybe I'm just paranoid. So do make sure you're subscribed so that way you are alerted as to when I have new videos coming out on the channel. Give me a thumbs up and do consider joining me for one of my lives on Friday nights. Somebody else said that it helps to actually physically search for my name. So if you guys want to type in my name if you're looking for videos, that's helpful as well. I appreciate your support. To all my members and returning subscribers, thank you guys. You're the best. All right, so we've got a new moon that's going to be coming in hot. It depends on where you are in the world. For me, it's going to be hitting on February 20th, but for other people and other places, it will be happening in the late hours of February 19th. So let's go ahead and take a look at this chart and see what we got going on. So February 19th, February 20th, I happen to be on Central Time, so it's going to be taking place really early in the morning where I am, but it'll be hitting 11:05 p.m. Pacific Time on the 19th, and then 2:05 a.m. Eastern Time on the 20th. Obviously, I know we have people in different time zones all over the world, so take a look at where your time zone is and make that adjustment. But we also know that working with full moons, there's like a 72-hour period, right? The day before, the day of, and the day after. So if you're looking to do your full moon stuff, I mean, it doesn't really matter which day you're going to be celebrating, but you are going to see the apex of that new moon taking place really, really, really early, the darkest part, I should say. All right, so 1 degrees of Pisces. This is going to be the new moon in Pisces. The reason why I like this moon and the reason why I'm really focusing on using this for setting intentions is because of Saturn's energy in conjunction to this particular lunation. So you guys know we have a new moon every 28 days. It's setting the stage, planting new seeds for the immediate next 2 to 4 weeks for change. But this will take really all the way up until the end of this summer to fully unfold. And I'm really in love with some of the aspects because I feel like it can be very helpful in terms of getting to where we want to go. When I think of Pisces, I think of Jupiter and Neptune energy, anything in regards to our vision or our spiritual beliefs or what we're meditating on or focusing on, and also that connection that we have to our higher self. Now, what's kind of interesting about this is that it's kind of like a little backwards. I'm trying not to confuse you guys, but it is a Pisces new moon, but it's in a 1 degree, okay? So 1 degree by degree astrology has a really strong connection to Aries. So when we mix these two energies together, we're going to see that it's about taking action in regards to our dreams, taking action in regards to our intuition, our emotions, and letting that be what actually leads the way. That's what we're going to learn from this new moon. Specifically, 1 degree has connections to maybe building something. It can also be demolishing something. I think of like sandcastles that kind of like get washed away in the sand whenever you're, playing at the beach. So there can be some sense of whatever is not founded on reality has the potential to kind of slip away. 1 degree also has connections to armies, soldiers, physical injuries, and leaders. So Pisces has that connection to what is global, what we are seeing on screens, what we are seeing in faraway lands. But it can also be kind of a little suspicious, right? Because of that connection with Neptune. So I kind of feel inclined to tell people that this is a moon where you really want to practice clarity, like having clarity, sobriety, and being grounded because of that conjunction with Saturn. And something else you guys are going to notice is that this is going to be a new moon that gets reactivated several times throughout this next year. That's the real reason why I wanted to put this out early, was to encourage everybody to use this to set your Saturn intentions. Now we know in March, Saturn's going to move into the mutable water sign of Pisces, starting its trek. It's going to be there for about 2.5 years. But this particular 1 degree will get triggered several times throughout 2023. So we're going to see that, and I'll take you guys through it in a second, but you just want to make a note. This will be about setting intentions that may unfold throughout this entire year. I kind of see Saturn as like the lasso or the building blocks, maybe even like the cement for being able to make this real. Now, Saturn won't hit this until after we have the new moon. It'll retrograde over it, go direct, and hit it one more time. So the specific dates will be March 19th, October 3rd, and December 5th, okay? So March 19th, October 3rd, and December 5th. We will see a reactivation of this particular new moon because Saturn will be conjunct those degrees exactly, and you will see more of your intentions, more of your manifestations playing out. And I think the key here is going to be if you are committed to your dream, if you're committed to your vision, you will see there be kind of like I said, this unfolding that's going to take place around these dates. Equally, this is going to become a full moon in Pisces on August 30th, 2023. And I'm going to show you guys a sneak peek of that full moon. But when I was taking a look at it, it will actually evolve into 7-degree full moon in Pisces. And it will still be conjunct Saturn. So there is this really strong Piscean energy at the time of this new moon that's in the skies. Obviously, we see our monthly conjunction between the luminaries, the sun and the moon, which is referencing that conscious and unconscious melding together. Especially in the sign of Pisces, this is about where we kind of melt into something or we kind of dissolve things away. And then we've got Neptune, the co-ruler of this particular new moon, and Venus still in their conjunction. Now it's going to be kind of moving on. We're going to see Venus move very shortly after this, literally hours later into the sign of Aries. But it tells me that if you are really focusing on creating more magic in your life, bringing more of your dreams to fruition, focusing more on romance, focusing more also on healing, spirituality, the connection with other worlds, right? Other realms. This is a very, very, very magical new moon for that. And we have that binding power of Saturn that's going to keep kind of tapping us on our shoulder all year long, going, hey, are you paying attention to like the glory plan, to your vision board? Are you making time to meditate and really reflect on what it is that you want to see happening this year? Now, I have videos coming out soon. I'm going to talk about specifically Saturn and Pisces and a little bit about the signs. I'll probably put that together in this next week or so for you guys. But just coming into these transits, it's really important to know where Pisces is in your chart, okay? Everybody at this point should know where is Pisces in your chart, where is Aquarius in your chart, because we have so many outer planets that are getting ready to change signs here pretty soon. Now, Neptune's not for a couple more years, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. Outer planets at late degrees represent huge completions of cycles, big turning points. It can be very dramatic when planets are hanging out around 28, 29 degrees. Pisces also has this connection to, I think, manifesting our truest desires, being able to also connect with our faith, connecting to belief systems, things that are kind of beyond us in terms of other places. And there's some darker sides to Pisces as well. It's not going to be all butterflies and rainbows. Certainly Pisces or kind of Neptune 12th house energies has this connection to what is hidden, right? Consciously or unconsciously, what is secret, what is potentially too sensitive for us to be able to receive. It does deal with self-undoing, letting go, and sometimes disappearing. So it's really important with Saturn's conjunction to this new moon to not like hide out and, go and be under the rock or not want to come out from underneath the covers and say like, oh, it's too scary to be able to envision, like what life could be. But I'm going to keep reminding everybody that the magic of some of these aspects between Pisces and Taurus is giving you the opportunity to shift your vibration, help in the process of really raising consciousness. If the masses are doing it, it's going to get a whole lot easier for us to envision a new reality, right? So this is kind of like the dream team of Pisces and all of these placements in Taurus into this next couple month period of literally building new futures and really kind of taking the building blocks from Taurus. And Taurus is going to be going back and forth and talking to Pisces and being like, okay, show me the plan, show me the blueprint. What did the dream look like? What did the tarot cards say? So we know how we can start to kind of put this together, okay? So really great for fresh starts. Now, those of you guys who aren't aware, Pisces is the 12th sign of the zodiac. It is a water sign, so it's emotional, it's empathic, it absorbs everything, and it can have a tendency to absorb too much and get overwhelmed. It's also a mutable sign. So this is one of the signs that represent the turning of the seasons. This is the period of time where everything is getting ready to kind of wrap up in terms of the zodiac wheel. We're going to be coming into a preparation for the end of March, where we're going to have one of 2 new moons in Aries. So there is this sense of resting, recuperating, being behind the scenes, really focusing on getting something prepared. I kind of call like the 12th house like the cocoon energy before it becomes a butterfly. And when we take a look at the rulers of this particular new moon, we've got some interesting stuff going on here. Now, for starters, Pisces is co-ruled both by Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces. And we've got Jupiter that's hanging out in the sign of Aries, okay? So once again, kind of sleepy, envisioning, and Jupiter's over here being like, yeah, the time is now. You know, we get this going now. We create our own luck. So there's been this feeling of having Jupiter in Aries that's, we don't really know where things are going. We don't know if things are going to work out. We don't know if they're going to be successful. There's no guarantee, right? But Jupiter says, it's okay, just get it started. So for many of us, there is this sense of kind of like push-pull energy where all of the Pisces wants to retreat, but Aries, and you'll see even as Venus goes into Aries, it's like, nope, we got to keep things moving. We can't get scared. We have to kind of jump into the unknown. Now, Jupiter is going to continue to keep moving through Aries. It's going to hang out there really up until May. We'll see some conjunctions between Jupiter and Chiron here soon before it does its thing and it moves into Taurus in a couple months' time. But other than that, we're not seeing too much going on. There is some support from Mercury to Jupiter, and there is some support from Jupiter to Mars, okay? So Jupiter is kind of like the middleman between receiving messages from Mercury right now, where Mercury in Aquarius is saying, let's figure out new systems, let's unite people, let's make things quicker, let's make it more strange, more unusual, let's be more futuristic. Really incentivizing individuals to grow. And so I think we've seen this, right, with just like the sudden flash of all of this development of technology. You've got a lot of groups that are developing online that are sharing and inspiring individuals to learn a new skill. And then we've got Jupiter that's also kind of hanging out, gaining or giving support, I should say, to Mars in Gemini. Interesting because Jupiter wants to expand, especially on a personal or a physical level. And Mars in Gemini is going to be about how we communicate what direction we're going in. So it's like we're walking the talk, talking the walk, whatever. You guys know what I mean. Making it possible for us to actually make things happen. You guys are going to see that as we go through this next lunar cycle, from the new moon all the way to the full moon, which is going to be in Virgo, there are new opportunities that are going to start suddenly arising as a result of whatever vision boarding you're doing, planning, manifesting. Maybe you're putting together slideshows, you're putting together pitches, proposals. You're in the beginning process of like bringing all the ideas together. And then once we're getting into the second half of March, things are going to start actually picking up. The momentum's going to pick up. All right, so let's take a look at these. Let's take a look at the rest of the aspects, and I want to take you guys through some of these dates because it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to unfold. Okay, so we've got the new moon here. Sun and the moon come together, planting that new seed at 1 degree. If you have anything 0 to 3 degrees of Pisces, I would say pay attention because this is going to be more personal for you. Equally 0 to 3 degrees of all the mutable signs. So that includes Gemini, Virgo, and Sag. This will impact you as well. If you have anything 0 to 3 degrees of either Cancer or Scorpio, you'll experience a trine. And if you have anything 0 to 3 degrees of the earth signs, specifically Capricorn and Taurus, this is going to form a sextile. Air and fire people, it's not that it's not important for you guys, it's just you're not going to see as much action. But if you stay tuned, I'll take you guys through all of the 12 signs, so don't worry. Okay, so we got that new moon. We're also going to be seeing that the Jupiter-Chiron conjunction that's setting up is definitely showing us where there is this emphasis on initiating, right? Aries, initiating, healing the self. So many of us may feel that during the time of this new moon, we're just like, okay, there's this thing that I have to work through emotionally, physically. Pisces deals with hospitals, it deals with centers, it deals with private spaces, retreats. So I could see this incentivizing some people to be focusing on some of these things in terms of getting healthcare or getting treatment or focusing more on mental health or just rest and recuperation. The the Neptune-Venus conjunction that's taking place here. We've been feeling it. It's kind of in the mix from about February 14th all the way through the time of this new moon, but still the fact that you have Venus, which is one of the benefic planets in conjunction to Neptune, is really teaching us about love, magic, beauty, but also sensitivity. So it's wonderful for any kind of like spiritual healing. It's wonderful for art and music and poetry, because that conjunction together is just like super, super, super romantic, right? It's very romantic with that conjunction. The other side of the coin may also suggest that there can be issues with deception, with money, with love, also with foreign affairs. But I wonder if like the Venus-Neptune conjunction and the Jupiter-Chiron conjunction is saying that art is therapy, art is the outlet for dealing with some of these physical issues. Or perhaps it's going to be new innovations in mental health care. I wonder if it's going to be like new substances, if there's going to be new trials that are being utilized also for psychedelics. We do have Venus in the very last degrees of Pisces. However, 29 degrees of Pisces has another connection. It deals with that star Shiat. So there are more uptick of missing people. There can also be issues with suicide, drowning, anything that you would kind of connect to the very last degrees of Pisces is mysterious and a little scandalous in itself. So I'm wondering if this is going to be some of these major themes kind of coming up around about the time of the new moon. It may take until we see some of these like the lunar transit and also the sun transit come into conjunction with that. There's no doubt once we're getting to the tail end of the zodiac and we're kind of hanging out in the last degrees of Pisces, there is this feeling of like, oh my goodness, everything's going to get washed away, right? So it's also like very like baptismal in its energy. Staying hydrated, right? Staying grounded, not spinning out and going into like the Pisces pandemonium of worst case scenario. Be careful about what you are watching on screens. You know, we're going to see lots of issues here. I think just with Saturn going into Pisces in general, where it's going to be so easy to just generate something, to have some artificial projection of a person, and it might look just like them and sound just like them, but it's not them. So there can be some manipulation or some distortion that's coming up as well. Really important because the North Node is ruled by Venus. So for Venus and Neptune to be in conjunction, there could be some distortion in regards to where something goes, if something goes missing, if money goes missing, if some really prominent piece of art goes missing, if some really significant woman goes missing, or there is some kind of tragic thing that happens involving water. Unfortunately, these things do happen with some of these placements. We're going to see, like I said, Mercury, which is going to be in support to Jupiter. So it's encouraging us to work with groups and other people. And we're getting a lot of feedback from others. It's helping us feel like we have the opportunity to kind of expand. But Mercury will also be forming trines to Mars in Gemini. And so that's really getting the mind and the motive on board. So there is this sense of feeling like, yes, now we can move forward. We can make decisions. We can communicate things. We can share with others, and just information is going to spread like wildfire with Mercury and Mars in that trine. You'll see that for a couple days after the new moon. Probably one of the more stressful aspects in this particular new moon is going to be Mercury square to Uranus. Okay, so in recent days, you guys have seen after that full moon that we had in Leo, the hard squares between planets in Aquarius and also Uranus and Taurus is not for the faint of heart. Unfortunately, it did manifest as some of us astrologers have predicted, as there being some really radical rocks and rattles and rolls. We saw that in Turkey. It was really hard to see some of those images, and just to keep seeing even the surges of the aftermath, you know, that kept happening. There were several earthquakes that took place there. Mercury is more systems, communication. It can be about wires. It can be about the internet. So I think the fact that this is squaring might suggest that, you know, within a couple of days of this full moon or within this lunar cycle, there is going to be some rattling news that might come up, or some issues with power outages, communication issues. And also Mercury in Aquarius is about the people communicating, sharing, the higher mind, the higher octave of freedom, and where that starts to kind of disrupt and come into friction with Uranus and Taurus. Now, here's what's interesting. The traditional association with Uranus is Aquarius. So it's kind of suggesting that whatever this information is that's coming out is putting pressure on the financial systems, on banking, on resources. Just kind of listening to some of the news that was coming out even this evening that I'm curious about, because this is literal with the astrology. Something about like the FTX stuff, and how people who are associated with FTX are pressuring the Democratic Party to get their money back, their donations back. Otherwise, there's talks that they're potentially threatening to kind of come out and expose some kind of information. Okay, you're not going to hear about this in the mainstream news, but I think that's literally the square of Mercury in Aquarius, which is about the people. It can also be about politicians feeling the pressure in regards to, you know, crypto exchanges, Uranus and Taurus, and also potentially exposing, right? We still have Mercury that's hanging out in the square to the node. So as it squares the south node in Scorpio, all of these transits through Aquarius has been like, okay, are we exposing what's coming? Are we exposing what people are actually receiving? I'm curious to see what comes of this. It might not be anything mainstream, but still, like, it's putting the pressure on both the North Node and Uranus to make physical financial changes. So we'll see. We know that Pisces is about what's hidden, what goes on behind closed doors. And with Venus conjunct Neptune, I'm wondering if this is about really prominent women who may be involved, or maybe very prominent artists or foreign investors in any kind of schemes, right? There's gonna be so many schemes, and you're gonna hear more about Ponzi schemes and all kinds of stuff with Saturn and Pisces. Unfortunately, that's just gonna keep happening. We're also gonna feel it because it's gonna be making sextiles to Uranus. So we have to be really mindful about where we're putting our money, where we're sharing information, stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit of a mental stress day. You know, we'll see this. I mean, in theory, the new moon chart is going to kind of reflect what's going to be playing out for the better part of the next 2 to 4 weeks. So expect more kind of unexpected information. That's the feeling that I'm getting, and some stress potentially mentally, or to like some systems or circuit boards in regards to information putting pressure on technology. All right, so we've got the new moon that's also in a sextile to the North Node. And it's, you know, you got to take your wins when you can with the astrology this year. I think the sun and the moon in a sextile to the moon's North Node is kind of suggesting that whatever events are taking place as a result of this new moon, it's to help us be better prepared with that new moon, with that North Node in Taurus. So it may be suggesting like, hey, there's something coming, or there's something that hasn't been unveiled in regards to the North Node in Taurus. North Node in Taurus, money, food, resources, land. Somebody commented on one of my things recently, and they were like, what do you mean about land grabs? What I mean specifically is that you guys are going to start seeing some really weird stuff, okay? I've said this before, call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm not being insensitive about the war in Ukraine. I know that it's going on, but I'm pretty convinced at this point that with all of the money that's been flooding there, and all of the investors who are getting involved in the rebuilding of Ukraine, and I have to be careful with what I say, but go and look into who's getting involved here. There's some pretty prominent people. There is this incentive to use that, I think, as like a pilot program for, oh, everything's going to be digital, right? We're going to do all, health and banking and all of this stuff. It'll all be digital there. It's all going to be, like the new hub, and you're going to see elites probably flock to there to start getting involved with being able to replicate this in other parts of the world. As of today, we hear news about Canada talking about potentially moving in on Haiti, or, you know, like flying over Haiti, which makes no sense to me. We know that China is still hanging out, keeping their eye on Taiwan. When I say watch for land grabs, this is the stuff that I'm meaning. You guys have to ask yourself, why are large self-sufficient countries almost trying to monopolize and move in on smaller nations that may not potentially have the economic or physical wherewithal to defend themselves? Unless there is an incentive to start grabbing land, which I really see this with Jupiter square Pluto. When Jupiter goes into Taurus, the squares to Pluto in April and May is going to be some of the biggest land grabs I think that we've seen in our lifetimes. And I also think it's going to be some of the biggest shifts and kind of money that's going to be changing hands also in our lifetime. You're going to see really dramatic swings with finances. There's going to be some people that lose everything overnight. There's going to be some people that are going to just wake up and they're going to be multimillionaires. It depends on where their money's invested, and it also depends on your chart. I guess my point is that, and you'll see when I read to you guys the Sabian symbol, because this does not have the best Sabian symbol attached to it. It's one of the reverse symbols. It's a warning. So we start to see with Saturn, which is restricting, limiting, right? Saturn in the late degrees of Aquarius, restricting the masses through means of potential manipulation or warnings in regards to what may potentially be coming. Now, it's going to play out differently for everybody. I'm not saying this to spook you. You'll have to see where it's going in your chart. But I think what's nice is that you have this full moon report to kind of go, okay, I'm going to see what happens within this 2 weeks in regards to this lunar cycle. And every single time Saturn crosses this degree, I'm going to be prepared. And I know that I'm going to have to add a little bit more focus and a little bit more determination. And you have to be a little bit more dedicated. Okay, so a new moon with the conjunction to Saturn, could it suggest that there is this push to release and let go of things, to have less, to be fearful? Sure. But I also think that it can suggest that we have the opportunity to heed the warning of the Sabian symbol and utilize this new moon as a way of going, okay, I know I'm dealing with this theme for the next year. I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to meditate on this. I'm going to consciously be working behind the scenes and preparing for inevitably what might be coming down the road, especially with some of these North Node, Uranus, Jupiter will be there type of things. I feel like the future is going to be innovations, not even so much in the banking system, because a lot of that stuff's being decided really without us. It's going to be in food. I think of like community gardens, victory gardens, people who are able to make money by teaching their crafts, people who are going to make money by teaching people how to preserve food, people who can make money because they know how to knit or they know how to be able to like build and create things, right? So if you're like an artisan designer, if you're a baker, if you can do things with your hands that computers and AI cannot do, if you have some kind of skill, right, that is going to be very valuable. Knowledge is going to be very valuable. We're going to need to make friends with ranchers and also with farmers and people who are able to build and create things. So in the future, and you guys will see this over the next 2 years, wealth is going to be defined in a very different way. So when I look at this sextile of the new moon to the North Node, I go, great, how do you utilize this as spending the whole next year figuring out a side hustle, building a side business, figuring out a new skill, a new talent, developing something and becoming really good at that. So that way you have like a support system if things do get kind of rocky economically, right? So those are pretty much the aspects in a nutshell. Let me read to you guys the Sabian symbols, and then I will take you through the dates because I want to take a look at those dates when Saturn comes back into conjunction with those degrees. As always, this is my handy dandy Sabian symbol book. You guys can always click on my Amazon link below if you want to go and see what I'm reading and if you want to pick up a copy as well. This is going to be page 366, and because it's 1 degree and 22 minutes, we're going to read 2 degrees of Pisces. And like I said, this is a reversed symbol. So actually, let me see what it says about that, because there is a list of the reverse symbols. Here you go. Caution, a squirrel hiding from hunters. Okay. So the keyword is caution. The theme is danger signs. The symbol speaks to self-preservation, the avoidance of unnecessary risk. The image of squirrel hiding from hunters is one of the negative reverse symbols. It symbolizes danger and the need to exercise caution. The emphasis is on this degree is on being conservative, playing it safe, thinking things through carefully before acting, having the courage to say no when the risk outweighs the benefit. At its highest, the symbol represents independent thinking, good judgment, and a keen sense of timing, or a natural instinct for knowing when and how to take chances. Watch for lack of self-confidence, low self-esteem, inhibition, or fearfulness. The accent is on self-preservation. Discretion is advised. Open enemies are easier to deal with than hidden ones. Your greatest advantage lies in paying attention to the signs that it can indicate all is not well. Take precautions to protect yourself. Use your discrimination. Guard against taking unnecessary risks. Keep a low profile. Wait for a more favorable condition. This is not the time to draw attention to yourself. Stepping stones. Danger, fear, threat, forewarning. Hazard, jeopardy, peril, risk, trouble, pursuit, discretion, alertness, carefulness. There's, to me, with the sextile also, because it's within about 6-7 degrees. Saturn is starting now to kind of come into a sextile with the North Node. This is going to be the rumbles of, okay, this is ultimately what could happen with food. This is ultimately what could happen with the financial system. This is the direction that we may be going with physical ownership, right? Taurus is also metals, materials. It can be like jewels, things that are more precious. So I think of especially copper being connected to Taurus. Copper, silver would be more the moon, but we have the moon's North Node. So I'm also wondering if there's going to be a sense of behind the scenes, much more of an emphasis on people talking about, well, you know, do we start saving food and gathering food? Do we start rationing things? Is it important that we start kind of backing things with precious materials? Maybe. Although I think Uranus through Taurus is going to shake that up a little bit. We may see some rather significant jumps for some materials in the future. And gases are another thing. I mean, gasoline, I connect that more to Neptune, but actual gas, natural gas, that's more, I think, Uranus. And so we're going to see that both of these prices are going to significantly fluctuate quite a bit over the next few years with some of these transits. But I'm wondering if this is also about this realization that, you know, they're trying to rein in the fears in regards of limitations with some of these particular natural products. I don't know, but this is a warning sign. Okay, so what's interesting is you guys can use this new moon depending on where it is in your chart. I'll take you guys through the charts in a second and go, okay, I know this is what I'm going to be dealing with really for the better part of the next year. How do I move through this? How do I, you know, really stay committed to my vision and really focus hard on this one thing? Okay, let me take you guys through these dates because I do want to show them to you. So we're going to see Saturn come into conjunction with this on March 19th. So you're not going to have to wait too long to start to see the effects of this. Okay, so on March 19th, we are going to see Saturn back at that 1-ish degree, 122. And literally the next day, look at this, the moon is going to conjunct Saturn. Or maybe it's even later this day. Let's see. Yeah, that'll be the next day. So into roundabout March 19th. Make a note of this, okay? So this might be the day that you start to see some of the things that you were aware of or were concerned about, or things that were being foreshadowed, or maybe even something that you committed to during the time of the new moon. You're like, okay, this is that reminder that I keep going. At the very same time, we're also going to see all of these planets in Pisces come into a square with Mars, and Mars is coming out of the retrograde shadow. It's going to be wild all the way up till mid-March, because as we see Mars come into the square, it'll be like Mercury, Sun, Neptune, and nobody's going to know which end is up, and things are going to seem very chaotic, very changeable, right before we see these planets go into Aries and then Mars go into Cancer. So things are winding down, right? We're wrapping stuff up. But make a note of that as like your check-in point maybe for your goal. Then we're going to have the next one, not for many, 3 months. It'll be October 3rd that it will retrograde back to that same 1 degree. Here we go. And when this is happening, we're going to be in Libra season. We are going to start seeing Venus inching towards her opposition with Saturn as well. So that's going to be a little uncomfortable. Nothing entirely too wild going on this day. Tons of planets in Libra. We're going to see a square from the moon, but nothing else that's like really helping or hindering this. Libra and Pisces, they created in conjunct to one another. So I think that it might just be a little, we might be a little uncomfortable with the idea of like bringing other people in on things. But keep in mind, it's retrograding back to this point. So it doesn't have to be affected by other transits in the sky. It can just mean that that's your reference point of being like, okay, how have I done since setting this intention in February? And then it's going to hit it one more time, and that'll be December 5th. And this is when it's direct, okay? So what's interesting is when it's direct, we're going to see Venus trine it. So that's nice. We're going to see Jupiter sextile it. That's nice. We're going to see the moon, which will have been in opposition to it. Ooh. And then we're going to see Mars and the sun, which would have also recently come into a square with it. So my feeling with this is whatever goal you're setting, and I'll take you guys through the houses for each sign so you guys can see where you're making this commitment. You got to work with this all year long. And going back to that 1 degree of Aries, it's what are you building or what are you breaking down, right? What are you working towards? Are you being a leader out in the world? Are you being somebody who's really focusing on taking your vision and bringing it to life, right? That's what I want you guys to think about. All right, so let's now take you guys through this for each and every one of the 12 signs. And we will see what it looks like for everyone. Okay, so as always, I'm a Western astrologer. I practice tropical astrology. You can use this for either whole or Placidus. Please listen for your rising sign first. That's how you're going to get the most out of my readings. And then listen for the sun and the moon sign. I also really recommend if you want to use Placidus, you need to find exactly where 1 degree of Pisces falls in your chart. Even if it's intercepted, it doesn't matter. Find that 1 degree of Pisces, and that's where you're going to be able to find your prediction. You might have to listen to 2 of the whole sign readings in order to get an idea of what's going on. But the sun and the moon sign are also equally important, so I recommend listening to all 3. And one other thing I would say is for those of you guys who want to ritualize this and you guys want to do something for the particular new moon, because it's a water sign and it's a mutable sign, I would recommend like salt baths, herbal soaks, tonics, bottle magic. You can also do like foot scrubs or foot detoxification because that's what Pisces is connected to. If you like to work with herbs, I would recommend Angelica. If you like to work with oils, I would recommend clove or lemon. And if you like to work with crystals, I would recommend jade, lapis, or coral. Okay, so kind of choose your own adventure. But a couple people asked if I can make those recommendations. That's what I would use. So we're going to start first now with Aries and Aries rising. Hopefully you guys are doing well. So you're going to be having a new moon in Pisces, and that's going to be taking place in your natal 12th house. Okay, so a lot of what I was saying really obviously always applies to you, Aries. A new moon in the 12th house is like this preparation right before you come into your birthday time. So we're coming into right about a month before your birthday. This can be feeling like you want to rest and retreat and kind of hide away a little bit. There can also be this sense of you feeling like you want to do something different with your bedroom. Maybe you're planning a trip. Maybe you're planning on working on something in a back office, especially if you work with like art or if you work with media or anything in regards to like spiritual work. When the time that the new moon hits, Venus will be also in your 12th house, which is your 7th and your 2nd house lord. So I could also see this as like a really nice romantic time with a significant other, or maybe traveling or planning some kind of travel as well. But really pay attention to your dreams, okay, your visions. That's going to be very important. And keep in mind that you are going to be having Saturn, right, which rules your career, and it also rules your goals, moving into your 12th house. So there's this sense of being like, I'm working really hard behind the scenes soon. I'm working more on resting and recuperating. I need private time. I need to be like working in my own private office, or I just need more space to be able to kind of feel like I can get work done and be productive, okay? So you're planting those seeds. With Saturn going into your 12th house, a recommendation I would make for Aries risings is to take up meditation practice. That can be really helpful for just kind of like clearing your mind and also having more clarity in terms of what it is that you should be doing work-wise. It could also equally be a time where you're feeling like you want to connect more to religion or your faith or your spirituality, and you're wanting to get involved with groups, and you're wanting to be like meeting with these people regularly. Because Pisces does deal with temples, and it deals with churches and spiritual centers as well, okay? All right, so let's see what the cards say for you. And just if you guys are wondering what deck I'm working with, this is one that's new. I'm working with the After Tarot. This was gifted to me by my friend Justin, but this is cool. It looks like the traditional Rider-Waite, but it gives you like it's like the moment after of what you would see on the original cards. But I thought that was really cool because it's all about like what we're envisioning is coming, you know, with Pisces. Okay, so the card that I get for you is the Six of Cups. And this is cool because this is about going and reminiscing and reflecting on sweeter times. I think that this really is super wonderful for being able to have like romance either abroad or kind of like reconnecting with someone that you haven't seen for a while. It can be wonderful for dream interpretation and like remembering your dreams. It can also be an indication that there could be a reunion or reconnecting with someone that you haven't seen in a while. And also just sweeter times, reflecting on sweeter times and really allowing yourself to kind of enjoy the company of who you're with, okay? Great card for you, Aries. Good luck. For Taurus and Taurus rising, you're going to be having a new moon taking place in the sign of Pisces. This is going to be in your natal 11th house. This is taking place in a house that is really dealing with your goals, right? Your goals, your friends, your networks. I could see a lot of Tauruses starting like a club or a group. I could see a lot of you guys focusing on connecting to people who might be in other places, especially if you're like wanting to connect with like other spiritual people, if you're wanting to connect with other artists, designers, developers. And it can be like an online group, or it can be a group with people who might be like all over the place. Like maybe you guys, you know, meet regularly, or just focusing on developing new friendships, right? You know, Taurus, for the next year, next 2.5 years, but within this next year, Saturn is going to be hanging out in your 11th house. So Saturn going into this 11th house can feel like it's more challenging to connect with people, or that you have to try a little bit harder to get out there and make friends. But I think this new moon is wonderful because it's very supportive to the placements of the North Node and Uranus in your sign. I also think it's really supportive because of the aspects that it's making to the 7th house, that you're able to kind of feel like you have support from other people, and it can also be platonic. It doesn't have to be romantic. It's with people who are going to kind of share your common vision for your life, and also like what's gonna bring you joy, what's gonna bring you happiness with other people. And if you can't find a group, you might start a group, okay? That's the advice that I would give you. Let's take a look and see what card you get. Okay, I like this. I get the Knight of Cups, which is really cool because it's in Pisces, right? So it's associated with water signs. And so it can be saying that like maybe you meet a new Pisces, maybe you meet a Scorpio, maybe you meet a Cancer. But this is about not just saying like, yeah, I would like to make friends. It's like, no, I'm going to go do it. And like really enjoy developing like the rapport that you develop with one or multiple people. This can be kind of romantic too. I mean, I feel like the Knight of Cups is like the knight in shining armor, and you have him sitting on his horse and he's like drinking out of the cup. He's not just putting it up in the air, which means he's participating in the relationships. He's having a good time. Maybe you're like, hey, I want to get out there. I want to join some mixers. I want to go to some parties, some networking events, things like that, where you can like relax and have a good time. And that you're actually going to do it. So it's not just setting the intentions, it's actually going and doing it, okay? Can be good for relationships too. So there can be a sense of you meeting people this way. This is sometimes a romantic card. Venus will be in your 11th house at the time of the new moon, just barely, but it's there. So it can be saying that if you are a single Taurus and you're looking to connect with people, getting out and socializing with these new groups might bring somebody in, okay? Good luck. We have got Gemini and Gemini rising. New moon taking place in your 10th house of Pisces. Ooh. Well, Gemini, now is the time, because you know it's coming with Saturn, to set intentions in regards to what is going on with your career, okay? That's really the focus. If you are hoping to change jobs, get a new job, get a new position, launch a project, if you're wanting to also get ready to open a business, you're going to be doing this pretty soon. Saturn going into the 10th house may also materialize as you having more responsibility out in the world. So you might lead a team. You might be somebody who is taking over for a boss or a superior at work. Now, Saturn is traditionally the ruler of your 8th house and also your 9th house. So this is about other people's resources. This is about what you believe and what you know. So almost like with Saturn getting ready to go into your 10th house, you're like, I know I can run the show. Like, I know I could run a successful business, or like, I know that I could find somebody who could fund me launching this thing, or who would want to buy my product. So I think that the new moon is setting the stage for finding these people, opening the doors and making it possible for you to be able to take on a new position. I love that Venus is there, because I feel like that means that you're going to be getting a lot of love and recognition, really all the way up until the time of this new moon in general. It's there right now. I feel like it's going to get kind of colorful here though, because just short of the new moon, excuse me, these placements are going to come to square Mars in your sign, and now Mars is awake. So it's kind of encouraging you to focus more on the vision and what it feels like to accept this position, to be working in your dream job. So that way you don't feel like you're just kind of spinning your wheels and you're haphazardly going after things that may not necessarily be the right time, or it may not even be the right position. Hear me out on this. Until you come out of like the Sun and Neptune square to Mars in your sign, there is this sense of like not having a lot of clarity until the better part of the second half of March. So for you, really pay attention. Saturn in the 10th house is strong. Pisces is emotions. It's not logic, okay? And you have to listen to your intuition, even though you're going to feel like, okay, let's hurry up, let's go, and you're going to want to move things along. Take your time. Focus on the feeling of being in the position that's right for you. All right, let's see what the cards say for my Gemini and Gemini rising. Nine of Cups. It's so cool to like see what happens afterwards, right? Because if you guys have seen the Nine of Cups, he's sitting there and he's like smirking. Because he knows that he got what he wanted, and he's really proud of what he was able to accomplish. But in this, it's like he's being handed a big old fat turkey, a meal. So for you, I think it's knowing that you're going to, like, it's going to happen. Like what you're hoping to achieve, it's going to happen. It's going to come to fruition. But it's also about that wish. This is the wish card, okay? That's what this is. And Pisces can very much be about wishes. It's about what you're wishing, what you're envisioning. I want you to be focusing on what it feels like I said, to have that job. Not just the job, but maybe the lifestyle, maybe the pride of what you've accomplished, maybe the feeling of, you know, walking out of work and, you know, feeling extremely successful and very blessed. Saturn in Pisces is going to teach everyone that you have to focus on emotions. And when you're focusing on your emotions, it helps you actually help these things come into reality. So think about how things are going to look 2 or 3 years down the line. Don't be so consumed with right now. Give this time to play out and know that you're going to get what you're hoping for. Okay, great card for you. All right, so let's move to Cancer and Cancer rising. This is going to be your new moon in Pisces, and it's in a sister sign. So you and Scorpio are really going to dig this particular new moon. New moon in the 9th house. I mean, it can bring opportunities if you want to get ready to launch something, if you're wanting to start an advertising campaign, if you want to plan travel, if you're wanting to go and apply for colleges, if you want to apply also to teach yourself, or maybe you want to share something or teach something with other people. If you're looking for a new mentor or a guru, that could be the case here as well. And obviously, you know, new and full moons, they affect you strongly because it involves your chart ruler. So there is this sense of, what do I value when it comes to my beliefs? What am I willing to spend money on, right? Am I willing to spend a little extra money, you know, flying business class? Am I willing to go another couple of years to complete a higher level of education? This is checking in with your feelings and your intuitions in terms of your beliefs. Now, I think because you're going to see some nice aspects if you're a Cancer rising to your ascendant and also the South Node, that there's something about coming into yourself, listening to your own emotions and intuition, listening to your heart and also what's going to bring you happiness, that there is this realization that you either need to travel to promote more joy, you need to learn something, you need to teach something, you need to share something with the world, because it is going to be a part of your personal fulfillment. And with the South Node being in your 5th house, you know, you have a lot that's opening up here in regards to yourself, but it's meant to be shared with others. So I'm wondering, like, do you reach out and go and visit friends in other places? Are you focusing on teaching something to groups and doing some kind of training or certification? Something like that may come up for you here as well. But it's very positive in your chart. And the 9th house is the higher mind, but it's also about the bigger picture, the vision. So I'm wondering, with Saturn getting ready to go into your 9th house, because Saturn rules your 7th of relationships and your 8th of others, are some of you guys getting engaged? Or some of you guys getting married? Are some of you guys realizing that it's time to take a relationship to the next level? A business relationship, right? A client relationship. Are you ready also to, you know, go and really fully develop a relationship with a counselor or a therapist? Like, you might realize, like, it's time for that. There can be somebody very wise with Saturn coming into your 9th house that can really guide you and help you feel connected to yourself again, or teach you something very meaningful about relationships, or who can really help you out in terms of legality. You know, if you're looking for a manager, if you're looking for a business partner, if you're looking for an attorney, there can be people like that that can show up and guide you here as well. Let's see what the cards say for you, my Cancers. Oh, nice card. You get the Strength card, which is kind of cool, because to me, this is kind of saying, like, maybe you're looking for a new practice or something that's to help maintain faith or strength. We all know this isn't about physical strength. It's about spiritual. It's about emotional, right? It's about letting things grow, not holding on to something too strongly. So maybe it's about your view on relationships changing, and maybe it's about you realizing that there is a need for you to focus more on being gentle with yourself, being sensitive. Obviously you are as a Cancer, also to the process of working through things and developing new relationships with other people and not feeling like you have to force them. So you might be talking to counselors or therapists about this. You may also find yourself just growing into new relationships with other people at a distance, okay? Good luck. Let's look at Leo and Leo rising. We have got a new moon that's taking place in the sign of Pisces, and that'll be in your natal 8th house of change and transformation. My. I mean, when the new moon hits, you're going to have Venus that's in your 8th house too. So Sun, Venus, Moon, Neptune. It seems like very mystical, kind of sexy, very magical. Could be really great for joint resources. Obviously, you know, new moon's good for you. It involves your chart ruler. So this is saying that there is some connection to the conscious and the unconscious. If you're hoping to open up a new line of credit, if you want to have access to other people's resources, if you're manifesting payoffs, or if you're manifesting bonuses or something kind of taking off, which you can kind of cash out on, this would be the moon to do it. Naturally, Pisces in conjuncts or quincunx is your sign. So it does seem to kind of suggest that there is a little bit of like having to trust the process, having to trust something, even though it seems like it's unusual or you're dipping your toe into the unknown. A wonderful time to set intentions revolving around savings and talking to a partner about joint resources. Very soon, Saturn is going to go into this part of your chart, and Saturn rules your 7th house of others and your 6th house, which deals with work, scheduling, and routine. You got some big changes coming up here, Leo, between Pluto going into your 7th house, changing and transforming your relationships, and Saturn going into your 8th house of joint resources. Likely you're going to find that those of you guys who have been in relationships that are not working, there is a dramatic shift to your resources, big time. You'll see that with Saturn in the 8th. You may feel like it's more challenging to get spousal support, child support, to get insurance to pay for things. So this is a little bit more sensitive for you, okay? I'm just giving you a heads up now. Equally, this can be you kind of going like, hey, I am doing super well at work. I'm totally, kicking ass. And this is about me realizing that I bring a lot to the table and like, I want to renegotiate something. So there in turn, your relationships with other people are changing. Just pay attention to that and do expect that Saturn shifting into the 8th house as there is going to be this focus on, it could be sobriety and detoxing. It might be a period also of abstinence and going through some changes in regards to your romantic partners and needing to work through some issues in regards to intimacy. But Venus will be there. So it tells me that you can communicate, you can talk through this if necessary. I know you're exhausted with all the transits in Aquarius. It's going to get so much easier once Saturn changes signs, but the conversations revolving around what is yours and what is someone else's needs to be had here pretty soon, so that way you can kind of better plan financially for the future and also know that you have security as you're moving forward and making changes in your career. Let's take a look at what the cards say for you, Leo. Ouch. Okay, so we get the 10 of Swords. Interesting because this does talk about completions and endings. This does talk about also feeling like, wow, I didn't see that coming, or I didn't expect that. It could be as simple as somebody saying to you, like, I'm not paying for that. Okay, you might get a denial on an insurance bill. It might be a partner that's like, no, I'm not going to pay this bill, or I'm not, willing to share X, Y, and Z. There is a sense of feeling like, oh, like with this card, because traditionally with the 10 of Swords, we see somebody laying on their back. But this is like two people are coming and helping and move on from the process. Okay, so it can be talking about putting something to rest, something or someone, completing it and letting it go. Unfortunately, sometimes, knock on wood, Saturn going through the 8th house, you do deal with the facts of life, and that at some point, whether it's a job, a person, a relationship, a home, something comes to a completion, it comes to an end. The 8th house does deal with death. So with Saturn going into the 8th house, it might mean that you're experiencing death in some form, doesn't have to be physical form, and this is the precursor letting you know something is about to radically change or transform. But there's also going to be support in the process of letting it go. Good luck, Leo. For Virgo and Virgo rising, you're having a new moon taking place in the sign of Pisces. So this is your opposite sign. It deals with relationships, others, your marketplace, clients, but spouses and romantic partners in particular is the 7th house. So when you have a new moon in the 7th house, you're setting the stage basically for like clearing the air in relationships. If you're partnered, it's a new fresh start. You have the opportunity to have more clarity. If you are single and you're wanting to mingle and start something, this is a wonderful time to do this after this new moon. Now, it's going to be a really interesting time. I know that in particular, all the mutable signs have had a bit of a rough run with the Mars retrograde. You guys have felt a little bombarded with Mars retrograde in your 10th, a lot of work, changing jobs, not knowing what direction you're going in. And it was creating some challenges in terms of your relationships. Now, it could have also been, where is my partner? When do they get here? Or is this the right person for me? Like, is this something that I want to do? You're still feeling that, similar to Gemini, really all the way until the second half of March. So you got to be patient here. But know that this new moon is basically saying, okay, I'm setting intentions revolving around what my goals and relationships are going to be. Saturn is very closely tied to this new moon, okay? And it is still hanging out in your 6th house and it's going into your 7th. For some Virgo risings that are in relationships that have not been working, it will be a separation or it will be a divorce. I don't like saying that, but it is what it is. I'm saying that because you've got Venus going into the 8th house, which represents a transformation of joint resources. Saturn's in the 6th going into the 7th, which can be the determining process in a relationship, especially as Mercury is approaching Saturn here soon. And Saturn rules traditionally not just your 6th house, which can be about separation or being apart from a person, but your 5th house, which is children, lovers, romance, and love. If you're in a relationship, you need to ask yourself, am I in love with this person, right? Could this be the one? Saturn transits in the 7th are not all created equal. For some people, it could be brutal. For other people, they end up meeting the person they spend the rest of their life with. So don't fear Saturn, but know that what's going to be, I think, most challenging for you is learning how to open your heart to another person, being very forthcoming about what you're looking for. If it's like, hey, I don't want to get married. If it's, hey, I'm looking to get married because I want to have a kid. Or, hey, I come with children, you know, just a heads up. There is some theme of the 5th house playing a role in the 7th. Now, those of you guys who are partnered, you might see further acts of commitment where you might, you know, talk about getting engaged, moving in together, having a kid, that kind of stuff, getting married. That's not unusual, especially with the sextiles to the 9th house. I think the challenge here, though, for the most part, is going to be, where do you benefit from having more clarity when it comes to relationships and whether or not you feel like partners are really ready, are really open? Are you looking for somebody who's more mature? Are you looking for somebody who's older? Or just somebody who's really ready for what you're ready for? Or are you feeling like people are kind of keeping you at a safe distance and letting you know that they're having boundaries? Regardless, Saturn's going to be here for the next 2.5 years. It's going to teach you a lot about relationships. If this were me, I would be setting intentions about having relationships that are in alignment, that are solid, that are healthy. And also, you may see this theme of people who talk about sobriety or meditation or self-awareness. These are really good signs if that's what's coming up as a result of this new moon for you, okay? Very, very promising for those of you guys looking for someone that you're going to find someone who's ready for what you're looking for. Let's see what the cards say for you, Virgo. These cards are sassy. You get the Hermit card, okay? And this is kind of cool because you're used to just seeing the Hermit card with holding up his lantern. But in this, he doesn't have a staff. He has a snake, and he also has a companion by his side. What a perfect card for you guys. I mean, it's talking about being able to have somebody come along with you through your transformative period. It might mean that you're like, okay, I'm going through some personal stuff and I've got somebody by my side, or I am open to the idea of being with someone and someone comes into your life that encourages you to open up and change. I love this card for you because it is the card for Virgo, but it's also the card of awareness. And so this can represent, after going through the process of self-reflecting, now you know what you want and you're able to shed your skin and see like a new version of yourself that's emerging. Really cool. Good luck, Virgo. We got Libra and Libra rising. What is going on, my Libras? Hopefully you're doing well. We got a new moon in Pisces that's coming in, and that's going to be taking place in your natal 6th house. Kind of similar to Leo, we have the in conjunct of the quincunx, so this can be a little bit more uncomfortable for Libra risings, just a heads up. But you're going to have a new moon that's going to be taking place in your natal 6th house, which is about health, it's about routine. It can be about diet, fitness, your office space, where you're working, how you're working. And Saturn is going to be moving into this part of your chart here soon. Now, if you're wanting to go back to the gym, if you want to start a new fitness routine, if you want to change your diet, if you want to get sober, if you are also just trying to be better with getting things done, like on your to-do list, this is the time to kind of set this in motion. Saturn is traditionally the ruler of your 4th house of home and family, and also your 5th house of children. So to me, it seems like now that Saturn's moving into your 6th house here in just a month's time, you're like, I need to find routines that work for me. So that way you feel like you can get all your work done at work, you're managing your schedule better, you're not overscheduling yourself, you're not oversleeping, that you're eating meals, you're meditating, and kind of trying to kind of find that balance within your life and your schedule between work and also you time. Now, Saturn is going to be leaving your 5th house of children after several years, and this makes me feel like it's possibly about the responsibilities that come with having a kid, the responsibilities that come with working for yourself and being self-employed, and just all of the stuff that you give to that, the time and the space, the energy. And now that Saturn's going into your 6th, you might say, okay, I'm going to get a housekeeper. I'm going to hire somebody to walk the dog. I'm going to also be participating more in things around the house, helping around the house more, taking care of parents. But you may also need to hire an assistant or childcare. That might be something that comes up with this transit. For most of you guys, the first year is going to be about, okay, let's just kind of get the work schedule under control. So it's about keeping a schedule and sticking to it. I think it can be good for you because when we have this full moon, this new moon, Venus will be in Pisces in your 6th. So that's your chart ruler. It does kind of suggest that if you add a little bit of touch of love and spirituality and something that's going to be more pleasurable in your daily routine, you're more likely to get it done, right? So it's like, does it make sense to reorganize your office and bring in some new art? Does it make sense to, make time to organize and do your chores, but you're listening to music? Think about the environment and what you're creating so you can make some of these routines more magical or more pleasurable, right? So let's take a look and see at what these cards have to say for you. Ouch. I get the 8 of Swords. I'm not going to say I'm surprised. I mean, Venus, even though it's your chart ruler in the 6th house, it's not always the easiest. There can be this feeling of being like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how to get out of the situation that I've created. For some of you guys, it's a bad habit. It's a pattern. For some of you guys, it's about patterns of how you're working, or it's about productivity. It can also be about stress or anxiety. But with this card, it's interesting. Usually we see her surrounded by all of the different swords, and she can't get out. She's blindfolded. She doesn't realize that she's limiting herself with her thoughts. And so somebody comes in to rescue her and kind of cut her free. So I'm wondering, Libra, are you having to cut a bad habit? Is it a mental habit? Is it a physical habit? Is it something you're eating? Is it sugar? Is it something you're drinking? What do you need to finally acknowledge and release yourself from? That's what I want you to focus on, okay? It's really important for you to do this over the next year in general. This can be a more difficult place to have Saturn. It can also bring up some health challenges, so it's better to be forewarned and get ahead of it now if possible, okay? Good luck. We have Scorpio and Scorpio rising. Almost got 2 Libras there. We have Scorpio. You guys are having a new moon in Pisces, and that's going to be taking place in your 5th house. And this is in a sister sign, okay? So you and Cancer really benefit from this really the most, next to Pisces maybe. So new moon in the 5th house is going to put an emphasis obviously on anything that is creative, anything that is going to make your heart sing, anything that is romantic or fun. This is about dating. This is about designing. This is about feeling inspired. And if you're somebody who is like a visual artist, so if you work with graphics or film or design or editing, anything like that, this is a really wonderful new moon for you. Now, new moons obviously are new cycles, okay? So the fact that it's going to be making positive, harmonious aspects to your Scorpio makes me feel like you're going through a clearing process and you're feeling almost like reborn or renewed in some way. And you're really open to, oh, I would love to have a new romantic partner. I would love to be able to have a new creative project. If you're self-employed, if you're an artist, it's a wonderful time to launch after this period if you have anything that you want to launch. I also feel like for those of you guys who are wanting to meet a new romantic partner or you're wanting to get pregnant, this is a really significant moon for that because the 5th house does deal with children. Pisces is a feminine sign and it is receptive. So this is often an indication that pregnancy can be coming in. This will take 6 months to play out. So in 2 weeks time, you want to see what's going on, but within 6 months, that could be another time that we're seeing this when we have that full moon. or any time that Saturn goes back and forth over those degrees over this next year. Now, Saturn rules your 4th house of home and family and your 3rd house of communication. So likely for many Scorpio or Scorpio risings, if you're dating somebody, you're communicating with them, hey, I'm looking to like build a life with somebody. I'm looking to, you know, have a kid or have a family or build a business with a creative partner. If you're already in a relationship, it's probably going to be a conversation like, yeah, we need to move first, or, you know, are we going to do this in this city or in that city? Or maybe you're just getting to start dating someone and you're letting them know that you are thinking that you're falling in love with them and that you have some really strong feelings and that your intention in the future is being able to have something more. Regardless, if you're single, it's really positive. Set that intention for true love and connections. Get out there, meet people after this new moon. For those of you guys who are already partnered, keep in mind that this can be about bringing the love back, having more opportunities for intimacy, romance, and also having fun. And I'm really excited to see what starts happening for Scorpio risings, because Saturn's going to, you know, hang out in your 5th house. It's going to start coming into a sextile with your 7th house, North Node, and Uranus. And in the spring, here comes Jupiter. So those of you guys who are looking will meet somebody very, very quickly. Let's see what these cards have to say. Let's see if it's as positive as your astrology looks. Doubling down with the moon. I think this pretty much says it all. So watch for that full moon in Pisces. That's going to be happening at the end of summer. I feel like that's probably when a lot of you guys are going to realize, like, it's you, or I'm pregnant. The moon card does talk about the things that we do not see in the dark, that we are like, we have a feeling, we have a hunch, but we can't see it yet. So some of you guys may feel like these things are on the horizon. Some of you guys might be feeling like you're dreaming about these things, or that there's signs or there's omens that this is kind of coming in the future. Paying attention to the next time that we have this full moon, because it may be something that is going to be giving you more. This will also build for 2 weeks until we get to the full moon in Virgo, but I have a feeling it's probably going to be at the end of summer. So check back, let me know what happens, and pay attention to your intuition in regards to these topics. We have Sag and Sag rising. We've got a new moon in Pisces taking place in your natal 4th house. Private, okay? So private, roots, home, family, anything in regards to setting new intentions in regards to your home life. If you want to move, if you're looking for a new home, if you want to decorate a new place, if you're looking to go and hire a real estate agent, if you want to go and visit family, right? That's all the 4th house. This can also be a time where you're really doing a little bit more deeper reflection on your past, or on your lineage, or your family roots. Now, this is really important for Sag risings. It's important for all of the first 10 degrees of the mutable signs, to be honest with you. But similar to what I said to Gemini, where I was like, you have to stay committed for the next, year, because it's about building your 10th house. Sag, this can be a bit of a heavier transit for you, okay? Saturn going into Pisces in your 4th house is going to make you feel heavy. It's going to make you feel a little landlocked. It's also going to make you feel like it's hard to get out of the house, or it's challenging to deal with like a home renovation, or there's something going on with a parent. Maybe there's a lot of reflecting on the past, but you don't want to get stuck there. The lesson when Saturn goes through your 4th house is that you feel kind of weighed down, and you're really thinking about what your future holds, but you have to build the foundation of your home. Sometimes literally, it can be figuratively, but sometimes literally. Okay, so this new moon is saying, where is home? What feels like home? How can I make this like homier, right? And Pisces is spiritual, it's Zen. I think something that can be so helpful for many Sag risings is getting your house feng shuied, or if you're considering bringing in water, like a hot tub or a pool, or buying property that's going to be near a beach or a lake. That'll really help you with the moods that come from Saturn and Pisces. Now, Saturn rules your 3rd house of movement, communication, siblings, and cars, and your 2nd house, which deals with money and resources. So actually, Saturn moving into your 4th house makes me feel like maybe you're saving money because you're going to move, or you want to buy something. Maybe you're also talking about buying a property with a sibling. Maybe you're talking about moving in back with family. Something like that can happen. There can be more going back and forth with other relatives about a home matter. I like this moon because I feel like it's really putting the pressure on you with some of the squares to your Sagittarius and also Mars in the 7th to get serious about what your vision is for home, right? It's got to be a feeling. How's the home going to feel? What elements is it going to have? What kind of a design do you want? Like, how can you create like your own temple? That's what I want you to think about. And it can be really, really, really powerful for you to create like an altar space in your home, maybe for you to sit out and kind of draw out or make a list of all of the things that your particular dream home may have. I think that's something else that I would do. If you want to start plans with an architect, if you want to hire a real estate agent, this is a wonderful time to do it as well. All planets are direct at the time of the new moon, and Venus will be in your 4th house, blessing you with good things that are going to be coming to your home and also your family. Okay. Let's take a look. Let's see what is coming for the Saggies. Not to mention the fact that like Jupiter's in your 5th house now, and you're going to have an eclipse that's going to be in your 5th house. Many of you guys are going to be like, I'm pregnant, I have to move. Or families over all the time because they want to spend time with the kids that you do have. You and Scorpio rising have that energy a lot in your chart. I should use this deck more often. The Empress. So it could be literally about a situation with your mom. It can be about dealing with your relationship with a mother figure. It can be about whether or not you want to become a mother. It can be about going and visiting mom. This can also be about you nurturing and loving and taking care of yourself. So if you're like, I don't have kids, I don't want kids. It's about being that parent to yourself and like really giving yourself the things that you deserve. And I feel like with Venus in the 4th house, it can mean that like you want to create like your castle, like you want to, you know, decorate it and put all these beautiful things in it. But the transits that I see generally that will bring children or family or an emphasis on home and family, Saturn in the 4th, Jupiter in the 5th, North Node in the 5th, eclipses in the 5th, right? You have all that. So there is such a focus right now on children or mother type of figures or how you identify in terms of one of these two. And here is the Empress to confirm that. So you'll see this play out definitely sometime between now and April with some of these transits that are shaping up. You have to let me know what happens. Good luck. We have Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You're going to be experiencing a new moon in Pisces in your natal 3rd house. This is fun. So, you know, it's in positive aspect to your ascendant. We've got a new moon in the 3rd, which is going to promote opportunities for communication, changes in vehicles, new gadgets, learning, trips, short distance things that you can do with siblings, just getting around your neighborhood as well. So with this new moon, it's going to be closely tied to Saturn, which is really wonderful because Saturn is your chart ruler. So wherever Saturn goes is where you feel things changing. Saturn is about commitment, limitation, right? Karmic law, feeling grounded in something. And as it moves into the sign of Pisces next month, it's about your emotions, right? It's about your feelings. It's about getting the words out, sharing it, not feeling all choked up. It's about launching a business, starting a podcast, being on YouTube, maybe writing a book, maybe learning a new language. Regardless of what it is, you're investing more in something. You're learning more about something. And that's really what you're setting your intentions for now. So if you want to do any of these things, you want to start getting this going right after the time of the new moon. I'm also wondering for those of you guys who are like, yeah, I need to book a trip. I need to get out of town for a weekend. Do it. If you're realizing that you need to move, start the plans, get it moving, right? Focus on the vision of what place you would like to go and visit. Look at some photos of some different areas. And if you're needing to get a new gadget or a car, you have the go ahead to do that as well. You might start looking at that in this next couple of weeks. Saturn very soon will leave your 2nd house of money and it'll move into the 3rd. So I'm wondering if this is about you committing to getting around and being transported differently. Some of you guys are going to ditch the car and you're going to get a bike. Some of you guys who haven't had a car might buy your first one. And really focus on being able to get to know people in your environment. Yes, you might have to talk to neighbors. Yes, you know, you might have to get to know people and kind of walk around and socialize, but I think it's good for you with this chart. And watch for communications or documents that kind of come up over this next 2-week period. You may have to sign a lease. You may have to, buy a vehicle. You might have to make a phone call to somebody and get a document authorized in some way, with Saturn getting ready to move into that part of your chart. I think it's going to be nice because Saturn is not easy in the second house. You have felt very limited in terms of self-esteem and finances. But when it moves into the third, it'll begin sextiling your ascendant, and it'll also start sextiling your 5th house. So those of you guys who have side hustles, creative businesses, things like that, you need to go full steam ahead, right? Full steam ahead, because you're going to see Jupiter go into your 5th house, and we still see eclipses in your 5th house. So that's about having fun, being creative. That can also be some children energy for the Capricorn risings as well. But I think it's more about sharing your ideas with other people and finding ways to be able to possibly make money from writing or speaking or filming something. Let's see. Oh, my card already jumped out. So two very different cards. So this is the card that jumped out. This is the 8 of Swords. We already saw this once before. Okay, so it talks about feeling stuck. How do I make that change? How do I do it? I think Libra got this too. Not knowing how to make the shift, not knowing how to make the jump. All right, but really, I think it's about in regards to your goals. It's like feeling so overwhelmed. It's like, how do I do that, right? This is this thing I really want to do. I want to launch the YouTube. I want to write the blog, right? I want to publish the book. How do I do it? Getting overwhelmed with the structure of it. And really, Pisces is like leaning into doing something when it feels right. Having structure and routine is not easy for a Neptunian sign. So it might be a process of you like writing scripts, journaling, reading, learning more, developing things before you really kind of launch something at some point throughout this year. But you're going to have Jupiter in your 5th house all year, right? So that's really going to be positive for helping you really take your visions and make them real, physical, tangible things that you can share, especially your talents with the world. It's great if you're doing any like comedy writing or any screenwriting, or if you're doing any like television scripts or anything like that, with the sextiles between the 3rd house and the 5th house as well. Good luck. Don't let fear get in the way. That's my advice. And I think it's interesting that the Star card came up because it's talking about your goals, but it's also saying, hi, Pluto is going into Aquarius in your 2nd house. It's time to get serious about what your values are and making money in a different way. Good luck, Capricorn. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You're going to be experiencing a new moon that's going to take place in your natal 2nd house. This is your money house. This is about your finances. This is about setting intentions in regards to your resources, but also your self-esteem and how you feel about the possessions that you own. Yes, if you want to do money manifestation magic, this is the moon to do it. I love that it's going to happen while we have Venus in Pisces, just the last moments, but it'll be in your 2nd house. And there's a conjunction to Saturn, and Saturn also rules your chart as well. This may be foreshadowing, letting you know, hey, there's going to be a need for you to buckle down when it comes to your resources or your spending. There may be a need for you to also really focus on being prepared financially and having a little bit of intuitive foresight, because Saturn doesn't just rule your sign, it rules your 12th house. You may be a little bit more stern or serious or to the point when it comes to your financial needs, especially when it comes to professional dealings. There is no doubt there is going to be a lot of change in your life, Aquarius rising, okay? You got Pluto coming into your sign, so you're changing rapidly. You're going to become very, very different and a little bit more in your power. And then we see Saturn leave your sign and then move into your 2nd house. So there's a sense of like really knowing, nope, this is my worth. Things have changed. This is what I need. There can feel like there's some pressure though financially. Ask any Capricorn rising that's gone through the Saturn transit. They'll tell you it is a 2.5-year period of feeling like you tighten the belt a little bit. You don't spend as much or you focus on saving, but your values change. And also you get paid only what you feel like you're worth. So too long, didn't listen. Set your financial and your abundance goals now. And make the goals not just be about surviving, make it be about thriving, and knowing that as you're bringing money in, you're not just blowing through it, you're kind of saving it for a rainy day, you're putting it into property, maybe you're putting it into real estate, something that's going to be more physical and tangible, especially as we start seeing Saturn come into a sextile with the North Node and Uranus in your 4th. That'll give you a little bit more stability. And also it's all going to be about how you feel. The lesson is to not let your moods or your emotions be dictated based off of what's going on with your physical finances. Okay. Let's take a look and see what the cards say for you. Oh, I love it. We have the Emperor. I like this for you because I feel like it's being like, it's okay, I can handle it. I've got it. Everything's fine. Like keeping your cool. The Emperor is really an archetype of Aries or Mars. And so you've got Mars that's in a trine with Mercury in your sign. So I feel like this is like you sharing with people, this is what's going to change. This is what's going on. This is the path that we're going down. This is what I'm excited about. This is what I'm like achieving. So you're feeling really motivated. You're in control. You're in the driver's seat of your own life. This can also be positive things in regards to your career. Positive things also in regards to being bosses, being in control, being in charge, dealing with father figures, dealing with superiors. And I like that it's got the ram at the bottom of his feet because usually you don't see anything next to him. So it's kind of saying like maybe the ram comes out as kind of like symbolic of being able to kind of take charge and handle the situation and initiate things, because that's really what Aries is going to be about. As you know, Jupiter is going into your third house. So this is maybe you're acting a little bit more assertively, you're moving more quickly, you're deciding to initiate, you know, contracts and, you know, sharing with people what your moves are and getting stuff done. I like this for you. I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see this transit as we watch Pluto cross your ascendant and Jupiter start coming into your fourth house. It's going to be like you're radically redefining who you are and also your life and where you're living. So good for you. Good luck. And we have the Pisces and Pisces rising. If you guys are having a birthday around about this new moon, like a day or so on either side, it's a new moon birthday. So it's really, really potent for you. So make sure you set those intentions. All right, Pisces. So we have got a new moon that's going to be taking place in your sign. At this point, it's okay. But it's at 1 degree. So it's going to be somewhere over here. I just have been moving the clock so that way you guys don't get confused. There we go. New moon that's going to take place. This is going to be happening on February 19th or 20th, depending on where you are. It's not the 21st. And it's going to be at 1 degrees of Pisces. So if you're a Pisces rising, it's going to be in your first house, helping you set goals in regards to yourself and your body, right? How you envision yourself to look, what your intentions are, what your goals are, where or how you're taking action, and also your immediate environment. So new moons are about planting seeds. This is a new moon for you. So you have to be asking yourself, what do I need, right? How do I want to feel? The sun has connections to health and the moon has connections to happiness. And then here is Saturn. So honestly, with Saturn this close to your ascendant, if you're an early degree Pisces rising, you're going to start feeling like something is coming, something is changing, right? This is a once in a 29-year transit where Saturn crosses your ascendant, and there is the sense of you redefining who you are, redefining your goals, and being a little bit more mature out in the world. Yes, you have to have boundaries. Yes, you might be noticing aging more. Yes, there is a sense of being like, this is heavy or this is hard. I have to go at this on my own. I really recommend meditation with Saturn and Pisces. I really recommend hiking. Routine swimming, like doing laps can be good for you guys. Yoga, anything that's going to be integrating like formation and consistency and kind of holding something along with spirituality. Hiking is great too. So if you guys want to be like the goats and you want to go hike, you can consider doing that. But I think that if you have new intentions for yourself personally, your goals, or your body, this is the one that you want to set intentions for. Very soon, Saturn's going to cross over and go into your sign. So it's going to reactivate this several times throughout this year. It's finally coming out of your hidden zone of the 12th house. And then Pluto is going to go there too. The question is with Venus being in the late degrees at the time of the new moon, it'll be at 29. It's also about this compassion that you have for yourself, the empathy that you have for others. There is like a lot of spiritual and like really psychic and empathic energy that's going to be going on. Salt baths, massages, like sound healing, like vibrational frequencies. Really, it's good for anybody using this because it's about what we don't see that can heal us or can affect us. But this is about giving it to yourself. So I would say it can be really, really, really awesome. Maybe Aries and Pisces risings need to go to the spa. They need to get a massage. They need to kind of clear all of this stuff out and really soak. So that way they are feeling like they're really starting fresh. It can be really positive for you. So think about where you want to be in 6 months. That's my advice. Think about where you want to be in 6 months. If that means that you're setting a goal to get stronger, right? Saturn can be about that definition of strength. It can be about more so defined muscles or even being thinner because there is a sense of being gaunt with Saturn on the ascendant. Equally, if it's about spiritual strength, if it's about the intention in regards to being able to be wiser, acting more mature. It could also be about you making the decision that you're going to actively take more time to be alone, to reflect on your goals and be more self-focused. That's another way that this can play out as well. Regardless, okay? Set these intentions. Go back to the dates that I gave you. Write them on your calendar. March 13th, October 3rd, December 15th. These are going to be the 3 dates that are really important for Pisces risings to pay attention to because you're going to see these intentions unfolding within those time periods. All right, so let's see what the cards have to say for you. Oh, again, star card. So this is cool. So this is talking about your dreams coming true. It's really appropriate, right? But I think that this can also be about healing. And so something that can happen with the sun and Saturn on your ascendant is like, I'm trying to heal something. It can be a broken heart. It can be like something that's like stiff or kind of having some issues with getting around. And as Saturn goes on and off of your ascendant, if you are a Pisces rising throughout this next year, you really have to pay attention to your body. The Sun-Saturn conjunctions will always bring about this awareness of like your routine, your habits, if you need to practice sobriety, if there needs to be a sense of you tending to a wound or getting like a readjustment. The star card's great because it talks about being at one with the collective and coming together. Even if you do feel isolated with Saturn in your sign and Pluto in Aquarius in the 12th, you're going to feel divinely connected to friends, to groups, and also to the cosmos. So even if you find yourself alone, there is this sense through meditation or connecting with people or groups abroad or all over energetically that you're not by yourself. Okay, so that's like a perfect example of the star card being a part of that collective in general, but also healing. Focus on healing work, especially with this Sun-Saturn conjunction. All right, guys. Well, let me know. Obviously, we have some time until this one kind of plays out. But I don't know about you. I'm going to be getting ready to set intentions, knowing that this is that warning sign in terms of what we need to be really working out all year long. Do not forget to subscribe. Please click the button below. It really helps the channel grow, as does leaving me a comment or giving me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. We're trying to bring some of the most high quality content and most consistent content to YouTube and making it available for everybody to help everybody with these shifts that are going on in consciousness. That's really why we're doing it. So the more that you guys support the channel and interact with the channel, the more that this can get out there. Many thanks to all of you. I will see all of you guys later this week. Let me know how the new moon plays out for you below, and I will see all of you guys very soon. Take care.